Pie, a favourite of many all over the world for a wealth of understandable reasons. Beautiful crumbly pastry, some kind of soft, sweet and rich filling. Whatever kind it is, it's very rarely bad. Unless you're the one making it and you're not very experienced in doing so. Pies and tarts can be very demanding in terms of ingredients, time and equipment. But today I want to share with you a recipe that allows you to alleviate pretty much all of those problems. This week I wanted to celebrate all of the gorgeous kind of summer fruits available during this season, and I find myself without a rolling pin or a tin to bake a tart in. How do you make a tart without those things? Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present one of the best things the French have ever done, the galette. A super simple, rustic and really inviting looking hand-shaped pie. As long as you can throw the pastry ingredients together, flatten it out into a disc and shove some delicious things in the middle and have a functioning oven, you have a beautiful pie. It won't look like it came straight from a patisserie, but it looks like the most experienced and loving French grandmother has visited your kitchen table specifically for you. I promise. Even if you're a beginner baker, this is one of the easiest ways to get into playing with pastry. Let's make a summer berry galette. To make this marvellous minimalist dessert, we start off with a big old clean bowl to which we're just going to add a big heaping helping of regular flour and just a couple of tablespoons of sugar. Nothing to really sweeten it, just enough to balance out that kind of buttery flavour and add a nice texture. Speaking of buttery, let's add some kind of super cold little cubes of butter, and then either using a knife, a pastry cutter, or just a set of lovely clean hands, get in there and rub everything together until it's kind of looking like chunky, irregular, buttery breadcrumbs. If you feel the butter starting to melt, just pop it back in the fridge for a while. And then you're going to want to add some very cold water, just a couple of spoonfuls, just enough to transform those buttery crumbles into a nice, coherent, but still short pastry dough. At this point, you want to work it as little as possible because the more you kind of touch and squeeze and push around the dough, the more glutinous it will become, which is good for bread, but not good for pastry. We want crumble. We don't want chew. Once you have a nice dough, even if it's still a tiny bit sticky, just pop that in the fridge for at least 30 minutes just to kind of hang out and firm up a little bit. Meanwhile, you can look out your fillings. This galette is fantastic, obviously, with the mixed berries that I'm using, some blackberries, some strawberries and some blueberries, but it would also be delicious with raspberries or other fruits. To this, you're just going to want to kind of wash and, if you have to, chop them to a similar size. Add just a tiny bit of sugar, a little generous splodge of vanilla, and just a couple of spoonfuls of flour. Sugar helps to sweeten, vanilla helps to kind of flavour and balance out any tartness, and the flour will help to soak up any of the juices that come out of the berries just to ensure they become a nice sticky kind of sauce or jelly almost, rather than a kind of watery, staining, soggy stuff for your pastry. Speaking of your pastry, once chilled, you're just going to want to turn out that ball of dough onto a piece of greaseproof paper, cling film, tin foil, whatever you have. Pop another one on top and just use your hands, or if you do have a rolling pin unlike me, to flatten it out nice and even. You want it to be just more than the thickness of like a £1 or €1 coin at this point. Nothing too kind of flimsy, delicate and thin, but also nothing hideously thick. If you like, if it helps guide you as it does me because I'm clumsy, I draw a little kind of circle in the center just so I know where to kind of keep my fruit within, and just spoon your fruit mixture on there before ever so gently using the paper and your clean fingers to help guide that lovely pastry just to fold inwards, making just a little bowl, a little arena for your berries to kind of sit within. You don't need to do anything fancy or particular unless you're good at that kind of thing. I am not. I am impatient and lazy, so I use this paper just to help me fold it into the middle to cradle those beautiful fruits before popping the whole thing back in the fridge to chill for a further 20 to 30 minutes, just meanwhile preheating the oven so you can give it time to kind of chill and firm up all that nice lovely butter that's evenly spread throughout, and then you're just going to let it bake gently until it's beautifully golden, firm and crunchy. If you like, before baking, you can sprinkle some sugar over those edges for colour, flavour and texture. And then you're just going to want to allow it to cool for at least 15 or 20 minutes before slicing and devouring. I hope you love it every bit as much as I have.